are coming back. Here are the world news headlines. Mark Zuckerberg, Cuba, something that we might consider. Greece repays loan and faces next hurdle. The chief executive of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, attended a business forum Thursday taking place alongside the Summit of the Americas in Panama City. Launched back in 2004, Facebook is already the world's largest social media network, with roughly 1 out of every 5 billion human beings connected. But the 30-year-old Zuckerberg was in Panama to further expand Facebook's reach. Zuckerberg was escorted at the business forum by Panama's President Juan Carlos Varela. Among the social network's desires are to spread into countries of the world that are not fully open. And as the Castro era enters its twilight in Cuba, and as the Caribbean nation seeks to bring an end to a half-century of hostility with the United States, Zuckerberg made sure to address any potential for moving his business into Cuba. Here's what Zuckerberg had to say. Our mission at Facebook is to help connect everyone in the world, and there are more than 1.4 billion people who use Facebook every day, every month around the world. And as the biggest internet service around the world, we take our responsibility to not just help people connect through the software, we build, but also to help people get on the internet so they can use all the different services that the internet can bring. We take that responsibility very seriously. So that means that in the fullness of time, we are going to want to be able to connect people across every country in the world. Now, there are some countries that don't have an open economic policy today and where it's not possible for us to operate, but you know, one day as Cuba starts opening up, it will be something that we might consider over time. And it definitely fits within our mission. But I don't have much more to say specifically about that today. A sigh of relief for Greece as it submits a 450 million euro IMF repayment. But the country is now faced with yet another deadline. After Athens pleaded for cash at a meeting in Brussels, Eurozone deputy finance ministers have given Athens 6 working days to come up with a list of workable reforms. And that's causing concern for some in Greece. The new deadline could help pave the way for a deal to be reached at a Eurogroup meeting on April 24th and crucially unlock bailout aid. Cash-strapped Athens has already submitted a reform list, but EU and IMF negotiators say it is too rest assured and fails to fully address pensions and labor markets. The upcoming Eurogroup meeting is seen as crucial to resolving the crisis, but it could result yet again in impasse. Darren Sindin, Market Research and Client Relations Manager at Admiral Markets, says
the Greeks will try and tough it out up to perhaps including the Eurogroup meeting. They'll sort of try and bluff their hand, if you would, if you like to compare it to a game of poker, and try and force a concession from the EU rather than giving ground first.
The news comes after the Greek Prime Minister met with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Putin offered up long-term cooperation but no financial aid. A Pakistani woman, sick and tired of being groped and harassed by male tricycle drivers, has started her own service exclusively for female passengers and drivers in her home city of Lahore. With just the one rickshaw on the road so far, Zahra Islam, president of Pakistan's nonprofit Environment Protection Fund, said she once barely escaped getting kidnapped by a rickshaw driver when she was a student, which prompted the idea of launching her Pink Rickshaw service. Pakistan is notorious for sexual abuse of women, known as eve teasing. Offenders often go unpunished within a legal system that can treat the victims as the guilty party. Aslam said her Pink Rickshaw service was another step towards not only the financial, but also the professional empowerment of women, enabling them to earn a decent living. Aslam has brought one rickshaw, a covered 3-wheel motorcycle, to start with, and has added fans, doors, and headlights, and painted the exterior white and pink. Her plan is to have at least 25 up and running by the end of the year, and with one vehicle costing about $3,000, Aslam said she is speaking for sponsorships. So we are reaching out and we are saying,
So we're reaching out and we're saying, hey guys, this is a great initiative. Please sponsor a few rickshaws so we can enable these women, so we can pay. Now then, these women will get the rickshaws and they will have to then do easy installments and pay back for the rickshaw so we can reinvest that money and get more women on the road.
She said, adding that the government has not offered any assistance. Aslam said she's optimistic about the future of the woman-only transport service in the city. A Texas man who fatally shot a man at a convenience store as part of a 2002 robbery and a police officer responding to the crime is set to be executed on Thursday by lethal injection. Texas plans to execute Kent Sprouse, 42, at 6 p.m. Central Daylight Time at its death chamber in Huntsville, Texas. If the execution proceeds, it would be the 523rd in Texas since the U.S. Supreme Court reinstated the death penalty in 1976, the most of any state. Sprouse entered a convenience store in Ferris, about 20 miles south of Dallas, with a shotgun, October 2002. According to court documents, after he left, the store clerk called police to report a robbery. Sprouse then went to the filling station in front of the store and exchanged words with Pedro Moreno, 38, as he was pumping gas. Sprouse fired one shot, then went through a pump hose and hit Moreno, killing him. According to court documents, Sprouse waited in the parking lot until Ferris police officer Harry Steinfeld, 28, arrived on the scene. He shot the officer twice. Steinfeld, who later died from his injuries, returned fire, hitting Sprouse. More than 1,000 people from across Texas turned out for Steinfeld's funeral in Ferris, which then had a population of about 2,200 people. Sprouse had multiple drugs in his system at the time of the incident, according to medical evidence presented at his trial. U.S. and Canadian icebreakers crews successfully cleared the way for ships that were stuck through ice on eastern Lake Superior. The Canadian Coast Guard released video showing the CCGS Samuel Risley icebreaker heading to rescue unaccompanied ships, helping them get through ice. Ice had left about 18 ships immovable over the past few days. Vanessa Hudgens, in her Broadway debut, brings Gigi to life. Nearly 50 years after Leslie Caron enamored hearts in the film Gigi, actress Vanessa Hudgens is recruiting the role in her own modern musical version. But the musical, remade to reflect more modern sensibilities, failed to impress critics. The New York Times described the production as being scrubbed off anything even remotely naughty or distasteful. Hudgens, the 26-year-old former Disney star, blossoms from a naive schoolgirl into a beautiful young woman under the guidance of her grandmother and aunt in the role played by Audrey Hepburn in the 1951 stage play. Although some critics found the latest version lacking, the New York Post says it was more, in line with modern ideas about women and romance. Adding this honorable Gigi may be a good pick if you can't get into Wicked or take your daughter to the theater day. Gigi is playing at the Neil Simon Theater. A cafe in the Philippines is serving customized coffee to patrons who would like to take a sip of art. Customers of Bunny Baker Cafe Manila may request to have their coffee etched with any caricature they want at no extra cost, provided that the owner is available to do it. Graphic artist Zach Yonzon, who runs the cafe with his wife, uses steamed milk and froth as the canvas and creates the image in the coffee froth with a spoon and a barbecue skewer dipped in dark chocolate. The service started out as simply novelty when they topped their coffees with bunny rabbits to highlight the cafe's theme. But it has since grown as customers started asking for more complicated images. Yonzon said he has no barista training and learned everything online within a couple of months. His biggest challenge is to get the picture done as soon as possible since the froth does not last long and the coffee might get cold. Most of the requests were pictures of cartoon characters, but some customers had greater desires, like a caricature of Filipino boxer Manny Pacquiao or portraits of their family members. Yanzan said his art can be done with almost any type of coffee drink and can even be created using a simple coffee maker at home. But the result will generally depend on the beverage thickness and amount of froth. He intends on expanding his special service with more workshops and to explore other avenues like producing three-dimensional caricatures to add a little more flair to his frothy creations. The following are weather and the New York Stock Exchange reports. Thank you for watching VBS Business News Edition. We hope our program has been helpful to you. Until tomorrow, this is Robin Springer signing off. Goodbye.